good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. I can't seem to help. It's like you cast a spell. I'll keep loving you. You don't love me too. But I won't cry. I'll just sing a lullaby. You moved on already. I know I gotta stay strong. You said that you love me forever, but I guess that's gone. And I can't seem to hide all this pain that I feel inside. But that's okay, I'll just sing a lullaby. Listen, I can't seem to help. No, oh, it's like you cast a spell. Can't believe we're through. You win and you lose. But I won't cry, I'll just sing a lullaby. Listen. You moved on already, and I know I gotta stay strong. You said that you love me forever, but I guess that's gone. And I can't seem to hide all this pain that I feel inside. But that's okay, I'll sing a lullaby. What the deal? All right, here we go. What's up, y'all? This is MCM, and you are listening to another episode of You're Probably Right podcast, where I am probably right. No, you never know. Anyway, this is episode 210. Now, how you doing, people? Happy that you decided to pass by the amazing podcast that will be worldwide very soon. No, I don't know. Anyhow, just remember this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. I do not profess to be a professor of anything except a professing Christian. Certainly not perfect at that, but I do have a strong belief in what the Word of God says. That is the Bible, 66 books of the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. But of course, this isn't a Christian podcast. This is just a podcast by a Christian. Simple. So if you do need that type of teaching, go to your local church that teaches expository or does have expository preaching. And certainly read the Bible for yourself. So if you ever hear a scripture from me, don't take me at my word, because sometimes I'm just pulling these things out of the top of my head and I might not have it exactly right. Most of the time you won't even hear I won't say chapter this or verse this. It'll just be something that's in my heart that seems to be a good word to say at that particular time. So I just wanted to kind of put that out for you, because I don't want anybody thinking that, they listen to my podcast and I'm, giving all this info and I'm swearing by it. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. And that's the reason why I say that, because I do want you to check out your own stuff. You know what I mean? I can't, obviously, we're not talking, you're just listening to me. So your particular situation may not line up with what I'm talking about, even though it sounds like it. So just remember that, okay? All right, here we go. Secondly, this podcast is for people who like to hear talking. Now, if you're a person who gets bored very quickly and you have a short attention span, this might not be the podcast for you. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I did turn my head, so hopefully it's not too loud. I mean, it could be cut out technically, but hey man, it's just me and just hanging out with you. Anyhow, episode 210. How a bad relationship can change your life for better or worse. A bad relationship doesn't just end, it lingers. It leaves marks, questions, and sometimes a completely different version of yourself. But the real question is, does it leave you broken, or does it push you towards growth, or does it leave a bad taste in your mouth? Today we're diving into 10 ways a toxic relationship can either elevate you or pull you down, plus a raw 5-part reflection on what happens when love leaves you in pieces. Whether you're healing, reflecting, or just curious, this one's for you. Now, the whole joke about this podcast episode is really, it just came out of a thought. It is actually something that I wrote for somebody, but I ended up not actually giving it to the person. And what it was is that and this, I don't think this is going to be the most poignant thing I say today, but sometimes people value themselves more than they should. And, you know, there we go. There's a scripture I just thought of. You know what it says that in the scripture somewhere? It says, let no one think more highly of themselves than they ought. I know that society, that's it. That was it. Not society has nothing to do with the scripture, but and you can go look that up. But society tries to push self-esteem. Meanwhile, the Bible says, don't let anyone think more highly of themselves than they ought. They ought to. And not to say that you're supposed to feel like the scum of the earth every day that you walk and do your life duties. But sometimes we're pushing ourselves higher than we need to push ourselves. I believe in life, we need to just take one step at a time. One step, two step, one step, two step. Just going forward as best you can. If you get pushed back, one step, two step, one step, two step. Going towards whatever your goal is in that particular thing. But sometimes people just prop themselves up on stuff that's not true. And you'll hear people with certain types of value for themselves. They'll tell you why they believe that they're this or they're that. And it's like, when it comes to relationships, I was thinking that, that's the best way to say this. Yeah, well, anyways, I wrote something and I didn't give it to the person. I just wanted them to think about this. Sometimes we think that we're worth this and we're worth that, when really you should look at yourself, especially for a person who's been in a relationship or been in a marriage before. People should be able to judge you at some level. If you were in a committed relationship, on how your ex is doing after you happened, after the event of you happened in their life, how are they doing? You know, in other words, you met them like this, they were like this, and now they're like that. Or they met you like this, and now you're like that. Can someone turn around and look at your life and say, you know what? You have come very, very far since before you knew your ex. You had the relationship, and now you're way, way better off. great. But then I have to say to you, how is your ex doing? I mean, if you're one of those people who leave in your or in your wake just damaged people, not able to function, not able to work, not able to, hold down a mortgage or a rent, no job, dysfunctional till the fact that you're, still having to, you understand what I'm saying? There's something to be said about it. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who breaks up with someone and you're on top of the world and they're at the scum of the earth now or something. I'm not saying that that's there's anything wrong with that. But if it's a pattern and everybody you've ever been with is worse off after you leave them, there is something to be said about that. I'm just saying. And I know probably some people won't appreciate that. It'll probably be the people who have destroyed some lives, although they want to play victim. Anyhow, I'm just saying, y'all. Anyhow, let me get to the first part of this. And I mean, you can make a decision after, right? How a bad relationship can make you stronger. Man, I don't know why my nose is stuffy now. Not every bad relationship is a waste of time. Sometimes they teach us what we need to know. Here's how walking through the fire can actually make you better. Okay, so number 1, increase self-awareness. You learn more about what you need rather than what you want. A person might get into a relationship saying that, they just want a beautiful this and they want that. And maybe you get some of that and that's why you fell headlong into the relationship. But then you found out that maybe you wanted more than just sex, right? Or maybe you found out you wanted more than just money, and it wasn't even the want. You wanted that to do that, but now you realize what you really need is someone to talk to you when you come home from work. You need someone to make you laugh when life isn't that great. You need someone to help out with the kids. You need someone to take a little bit of decision making or something off of your plate so that you can function at your best. Where you think you want someone to be a rock in certain ways, but you find out that that's not exactly what you need. It's something to think about, right? It's all about self-awareness. You start seeing patterns in your relationships, why you attract certain types of people. You find out why maybe as a guy, every girl you've ever been with is bossy or rude or demanding or lazy, or like you're wondering, okay, well, why is this person like this? This person was like that too. Is it me or is it them? And sadly, sometimes I think we have to really look at ourselves when we find people who were totally opposites getting with us, and then they both end up in the same way. It's almost like you turned one into the other when they were totally different people. I think there's something to be said about what we were doing or what we did in that relationship to have that person like this by the end of the relationship. You get clearer about what your boundaries and deal breakers actually are. Maybe it's not so bad that your ex left the toilet seat up all the time, or maybe it's not that bad that your ex just came around and wanted a hug all the time. And most people aren't gonna really fret over that stuff, but you'd be surprised what your real deal breakers are. Sometimes we say this is a deal breaker, that's a deal breaker, and then you find out how much you can really put up with, and then you really find out it's actually really not that bad. Or when they're gone, which is when we usually figure these things out, that some of the negativity that a person we thought was bringing into our lives wasn't actually all that negative. What it was that they just didn't agree with the way that we saw things and we wanted to go about things. But again, sadly, we learn these things usually after the relationship is over. If you walk away from a toxic situation, you know exactly what you won't put up with again. And then you know that it wasn't a complete loss. You just got to figure out how much toxicity you brought to the table. Second, stronger independence. You stop relying on someone else for validation. You know what you did. You know what you do. You know what your abilities are to some level. You don't always need somebody else to tell you that you're this or you're that. You rediscover personal interests, hobbies, and goals you may have put to the side. And that happens many times, right? All of a sudden you find out that, you're spending so much time behind this person you're in a relationship with that you forgot about yourself. You forgot about stuff you like to do. You forgot about some of the goals you had. Many things that you wanted to do were put to the side or stopped altogether. And then when you break up, you're like, oh, I think I'm going to get back into this, or I'm going to start doing that. This is what I really wanted to do with my life, but I'm over here because I was following this person's dreams, and apparently this person's dream was my nightmare, and I was just playing a supporting role in this person's life, and nothing good came of it for me. Then at least you know what, it's time to get stronger. It's time to get independent. Or you realize that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. And it's not a bad thing to be alone. For a time, right? I know some people, I don't know that everybody's single for the right reasons. Some people are single because they don't want to have to be accountable to anybody. Some people are single because they don't want to do anything for anybody. Some people are single because they are self-centered. I don't call any of those reasons good to be single, but sometimes it is good just to switch over from one situation, reconnect with who you are as a person, start doing things that you like to do as a individual, and then go from there into a relationship if you can find one again. People fear being alone, but sometimes that solo time is exactly what you need to reset your life and figure out who you really are outside of a relationship so that you can bring something to the next relationship. And then, of course, some of us were learning all along, but sometimes you just need time to breathe. Number 3. And remember, this is how a bad relationship can make you stronger. Higher standards and boundaries. You no longer tolerate inconsistency. You don't tolerate manipulation because you've had it. You know what you don't have to put up with. You get better at saying no without guilt. You understand that love without respect is just attachment. And that's a big one. Nobody wants to be loved and not respected. Nobody wants to be taken care of and the person doesn't respect you. We don't want somebody just to attach themselves to our lives but have no respect for us, because things will just not go well. Regardless, if a person is in a relationship with you and they have no respect for you, it's not going to work. Or You'll assume it worked because you'll be like, old and, well, we've been together for 35 years. It wasn't great, but we stayed together. You don't want that. You want to be able to do something well with another person, spend your life with this other person as a dream, even. Like, you want to be able to have someone to come home to. You want to have someone to go for walks with. You want to have someone who can snuggle up with you. You can have someone who can maybe read a portion of the Bible together and come with some understanding, or cook a meal with someone, and sit down at a table and eat a meal and have a nice conversation. You maybe go on a vacation. Like, you want someone who cares about you, someone who respects you, not that they have this place in their life that needs to be filled and you happen to be the next person right there that can do a lot of what you need. But you want that love, you want that attachment, but you also need that respect. The way you let someone treat you is the blueprint for what they'll continue to do. When you raise your standards, you raise the quality of your relationship. Higher standards. Number 4, newfound drive and ambition. After a bad relationship, it can make you stronger for sure, but it can give you newfound drive and ambition. Many people use breakups as fuel to live up to their career, fitness, or self-improvement goals, which is good. Sometimes you find out that you let yourself go, and sometimes when you let yourself go, your husband or partner, whatever it is, sometimes lets the respect for you go as well. Although it might have been exactly what they wanted. They wanted you to get a better job, hold down a better career, make more money. They wanted you to get fitter, or they needed you to self-improve, and or they didn't let you, or they didn't allow it because of what you were trying to do, and you messed up in a lot of different areas. So sometimes we find ourselves with new goals, from career to fitness, and different ways we want to self-improve, or maybe we want to go back to school, upgrade. Some of the biggest success stories came from people who turned their heartbreak into motivation. So maybe you got left in the dumps, in the dirt. You left by the wayside. Maybe you helped your ex get to a higher echelon of wherever their exploits were focused. Meanwhile, you were focused on their life. And then it came to a point where they were like looking at you saying, well, you need to grow. I mean, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What are you doing? Meanwhile, you're looking and saying, well, you wouldn't even have got here if I didn't help you. And now that you're there and I'm still over here, you're looking down on me. Maybe I'm not as fit as I used to be. Maybe I didn't have time to go to the gym anymore because I was working my tail off. Maybe many things. But a lot of the time when you get pushed to the side or dropped or left, you find newfound drive and ambition. Some people let a bad relationship break them, while others use it as a catalyst for something greater. The question is, which one are you? Number 5, stronger social connections. You reconnect with friends and family you may have neglected, because that happens in a relationship where sometimes people want all of your time. They want to keep you from your friends, or they want to keep you from stuff that you like to do before them, Some people slowly, very, very slowly trim the fat off other people's lives when they get in a relationship, till the person turns around and realizes that I am just a supporting cast member in this person's life. There's nothing that we do or it's a part of our life that actually is dictated by my likes, my desires, my needs, things that make me happy. You build a healthier support system. You surround yourself with people who actually care about you. And that's not easy to find. I mean, what I've realized is that you have a lot of people who care about being with you. They care about how they look when you are with them. They care about having somebody with them, but they don't really care about you. And that's the thing that you have to be so careful of not fooling yourself. Just because somebody's around you, so somebody says they like you, just somebody says that they're attracted to you, it doesn't mean that they actually really like you. They like the stuff that you do, the stuff that excites you, the stuff that makes you happy, the stuff that you find fun. They don't really care about you. And it's sad. Some people just want a thing, a type of person, but they're not really into that actual person. Be very, very careful. You start recognizing the difference between healthy love and codependence. You find out that healthy love is not always going to be making you feel wonderful, because maybe there's stuff that you need to change, things that you do that aren't acceptable. And a person won't just be a sounding board for you, but they'll actually critically look at your life, look at their own life, and you can hopefully both grow from that, rather than someone who's just a hanger-oner who tries to keep you from this and tries to keep you from that and tries to keep you to themselves. Sometimes a breakup forces you to rebuild a life you actually love. Now, you might not love the fact that you're just rebuilding again, and you thought you'd be 5 years farther ahead of where you are now. But sometimes throughout life, we have gaps, kind of like in education. We have gaps in our learning. Sometimes there's certain things in our social lives that there are gaps, not knowing how to relate in different situations because there are certain things that we didn't have to put up with or deal with, you know. Instead of one where you were just surviving. Again, let me just read that over. Sometimes a breakup forces you to rebuild a life you actually love instead of one where you're just surviving. And I don't think anybody just wants to survive a relationship, survive life. Most people want to have a desire to thrive. Whether you're a person who just sits home and reads books all day and talks to your husband or your wife for just a little bit, and maybe you putter around and do a lot of stuff around the house, but at the same time you want to be someone who is moving forward in maybe different directions, doing different things in your life, keeping active, keep moving forward. All right, time for second segment. When a bad relationship breaks you. Now let's talk about the flip side. The way a toxic relationship can leave you worse off if you're not careful, or if you weren't careful. Could have already happened, right? It can lower your self-esteem. Emotional abuse, manipulation, and neglect can make you doubt your worth. Now, I know that most of the time when we hear these types of words, And this is number 6, lower self-esteem. When many times guys, will be accused of emotionally, sorry, abusing their wives, or, women will, stereotypically be um, said to manipulate their husbands with tears, or, maybe they're held back on intimacy, and then complained when he found intimacy somewhere else. Meanwhile, she didn't want to give it up. Or, neglect, and that's, again, that's kind of like the same thing right there, where people neglect others. They neglect the emotional support. They neglect having conversations. They neglect on taking her out or him out for a dinner. They neglect and forget about your birthday. They don't realize that you like roses or flowers, or they don't realize that you need your back rubbed every once in a while, or they're just the different little things. Or they say, you're really not all that. When I picked you, you weren't really my type, but I pitied you. Or they'll just do all kinds of stuff to you, to emotionally abuse you, to manipulate you, to neglect you. And sometimes once you get out of some relationships, it's like you feel like you're useless. And it's sad. And that's why one thing is always important, I believe, in relationships. First of all, patience. But you shouldn't be so quick to up and cheat. You shouldn't be so quick to up and leave. You shouldn't be so quick to say, nah, I'm good. Sometimes you need to wait and give a little time into it. Like, a lot of people, they just jump from relationships and situations to situations because of a couple things that were said, or whatever it is, or maybe things didn't go exactly your way. But definitely take time. That's what I wanted to say. Just don't always jump the gun, You start believing you're not good enough anymore after a relationship. Maybe she told you that you were too small in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe he told you were too big in some way, shape, or form. And therefore, no one will like you. There are a lot of people who will say that. I don't know why people really do that or why they say that, but there's a lot of people walking around whose person who was, in love with them, cared for them, they thought, married to them, will tell them that, you know what, nobody else is going to want you. You're lucky I'm with you. And then the relationship breaks. And you remember that, and it sits on you sometimes. If you're not careful, this mindset carries over into your future relationships. And usually when you go into a relationship with that type of damage, chances are you're going to end up damaging the person that you go in a relationship with, because there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to hopefully unlearn. And if the other person isn't that strong, you might just take them on as personal, character traits. Losing yourself in a relationship that drains you is the fastest way to forget who you were before it started. Let me say that again. Really. Losing yourself in a relationship that drains you is the fastest way to forget who you were or who you are. Number 7, trust issues and fear of commitment. If you've been lied to, if you've been cheated on, or emotionally neglected, it's hard to trust again. Obviously, somebody says they cared about you, they love you, this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden they flip the script, or they bounce, they take off on you. Or you thought they cared about you. They thought you really cared about your music. You thought they cared about your sports activities. You thought they cared about your value on education and your love for God. So many different things, and you end up getting totally turned out in a sense because of what's happened to you, and it in turn gives you trust issues. You start assuming that everyone will hurt you the same way that that ex did. Some people even sabotage good relationships because they're waiting for something to happen. So they constantly go hot and cold. Every once in a while they're like, oh, this is a different person. I don't need to be treating him the way that I treated Johnny, or the way I wanted to treat Johnny, because I didn't have the opportunity. But maybe I shouldn't be trying to damage this new guy or this new girl in the same way. Maybe there's things that I need to alter in my behavior towards other people now that the old relationship's gone. Not everyone is like your ex. I repeat, not everyone is like your ex. Now, there are people who are like your ex, and maybe you're picking up the same type of person because you say you like this or you like that. Well, guess what? Sometimes some of the things that we like will breed the same type of person who maybe just damaged you, or different relationships that damaged you because you're looking for the same stuff. You need to open your eyes, broaden your horizons. But if you don't heal, you'll treat them like they are. So if you don't heal, you're just going to end up treating the next guy or the next girl like you treated the last person, or like the last person treated you. Emotional baggage, number 8. Unresolved hurt can turn into anxiety, depression, or even PTSD, as they say. Yeah, when you carry things around. Now, I'm the type of person, and I'm not saying it's that, what's it called? That healthy, but I compartmentalize a lot of different things. A lot of the stuff that happens that weren't so nice, were saddening or maddening, caused me anxiety. I've learned to just kind of put them in different places so that I can still operate as me. And I think that's so important, not to lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in the movement, in the moment, in your relationship. If you can do better, do better. And we realize when certain things have happened to other people, and that's why patience with other people is important. Rather than just judging and say, oh, all guys are this way or all girls are that way. Give people a chance. You might start replaying past conversations in your head. Are you a person who reads over all your texts 15 times or listens to messages over and over and over, obsessing over what went wrong and seeing if you could fix it? Be careful. The emotional pain bleeds into your friendships, into your work, and into your daily life. And if you find yourself constantly up and down like a roller coaster, hot and cold, like water into ice and ice into water, be careful. You might be just carrying a whole bunch of emotional baggage and trauma. You don't have to carry your past into your future, but first you have to unpack exactly what happened so that you know what happened, so you can analyze what happened, and so that you don't let what happened happen again. Number 9, repetition of toxic behaviors. So when a bad relationship breaks you, you don't want to be repeating toxic patterns. Many people jump into the same kind of relationships with different people. Without self-awareness, the cycle repeats. Same problems, different face. If you don't change your approach, you'll keep attracting the same type of person, or as they say, the same energy. Maybe you need to stop leaning on people for certain things. You have to lean on certain things for yourself. Do them yourself. But maybe that was just something that happened. Maybe now the new person can take on some of those things that you were, maybe some of the things you're doing yourself. Maybe there's certain things you won't have to do with the next person by yourself. Maybe you need to allow people to help you. Some people say, I've learned how to do this and that by myself, so it's hard to allow anybody. Nah, man, back off, chill out. Give the person a chance. Maybe they can do a better job than you, or that, better job than your ex. Who knows? Don't compare them. Just allow them to do stuff. Allow somebody to open a door for you. Don't go crazy and say, well, I open my own doors. Like, come on, chill out. The hardest pill to swallow sometimes is not bad luck. It's your choices that keep leading you there. Maybe you need to make some of your own decisions. Maybe you need to decide to go left or go right. Maybe you need someone who's not so serious and can laugh at their own self. Smile. Not so diabolical with decision making. Stuff that's going to hurt you, but they'll tell you that that's what you needed. Physical and mental health decline. Bad relationships. Stress from toxic relationships can literally make you sick. Some people lose weight, others gain weight. Some experience insomnia, depression, or even physical illness. The emotional toll of chronic stress and heartbreak is real. Some people won't feel like going out anymore after a bad relationship. Some people won't want to celebrate birthdays, generally their own. Some people will not want to celebrate, say, Christmas with their family. Some people won't even want to be seen and will duck out once they see a family visitor is coming to the house and you're on your way home from work, but your cousin Julie is in the house, and it's like, oh no, Julie's there. You have to like text your husband or your boyfriend or text your kid and say, hey, is Julie leaving soon? Because I just wanted to come home and take a shower and read a book. But if she's there, I won't be able to do that. So please let me know when she's gone. I'm sure some people are like, yeah, that's me. Your body keeps the score. Your stress, your heartbreak, your anxiety, it all shows up in ways you don't always see until it's too late. The aftermath of love and five-part reflection. Now that we've looked at the damage and the growth, let's break down the emotional journey that comes after. Right? So 1, the wreckage. Hold on, let me just fix something here. Now we got lots of distance. I wonder if I can pull this thing. Hold on a second. Go farther than that, Guess that's okay. Let me just slide this over here. All right, cool. The wreckage. When you finally see the damage. Number 2, the crash. Reality hits. Maybe you're 10 years older and you didn't know where the time went. Number 3, awakening. The first glimpse of freedom. No one's angry because I left the toilet seat up. Woohoo! No, it could be something as little as something as small as that, but there'll be a whole bunch of different realizations, I guess. The lesson, what you take with you, you know? Maybe you need to be more nurturing. Maybe you need to have more patience. Maybe you need to be more loving. Maybe you need to stop putting things off. Like, there's many things that we did in past relationships that damaged our past relationships, and many times our decision making is the reason why our old relationships are old relationships. The rebirth, you're not just moving on, you're moving forward. Okay. By the time you reach the other side, you'll realize something. That version of you, that one who settled, the one who doubted, the one who accepted less than they deserved, is gone. And what comes next? Well, that is entirely up to you. Just want to read something on the wreckage, just because I want to make sure that I can, what's it called? Want to drill it home. So for you people who have heard enough and what I've said kind of makes sense to you, I guess you're free to go. But for those of you who really want to really make sure that that stuff doesn't happen anymore, I just want you to stick around a little bit, just so I can give you a little deep dive into those 5 things that I just said. It's not going to take too long. Okay. The wreckage. You ever walk away from something looking back and think, damn, what was I doing? That's what a bad relationship feels like. When you finally step out of it, at first you don't even recognize yourself. You're standing in the ruins, wondering how you let things get so messy. How did I get so fat? Why am I so out of shape? Why are my teeth messed up? There's many things that you've neglected about yourself. Maybe you ignored the red flags. Maybe you thought love meant suffering. Maybe you believed things would get better. Spoiler alert, they didn't. And now here you are, picking up the pieces, asking yourself if you even have the strength to rebuild, to do it all over again. But maybe you have kids hanging off the side of your waist now. I don't know. But here's the thing. Every bad relationship leaves 2 options. You can rise from the ashes, or you can sink into a pit of emotions. Remember that. Number 2, the crash. Let's be real. Nobody leaves a bad relationship feeling like a winner. And if you do, then maybe it's because you destroyed somebody else. You don't step out of heartbreak like a superhero, walking away from an explosion in slow motion. Nah, you stumble, you question everything. You trust shot, confidence wrecked, optimism. Where is it? And let's not forget the classic post-breakup self-destructive phase, when you start doing things you shouldn't be, people you shouldn't be. Maybe you go out too much. Maybe you date too much. Maybe you isolate yourself too much. Maybe you spend too much time healing by scrolling through social media, looking at perfect bodies and perfect couples and perfect dances and perfect this and perfect that, convincing yourself you're just checking to see what else is out there. Newsflash, you're torturing yourself. Put it down. At some point, though, you have to stop staring at the wreckage and start moving forward. Number 3, the awakening. And then it happens, the shift. Maybe it's a random Tuesday when you wake up and realize you didn't think about them today. Maybe you catch yourself laughing, really laughing, and it shocks you. Maybe you start working out, taking care of yourself, remembering what life felt like before someone tried to sink you or shrink you. You realize the world didn't end when they left, although you thought it was. In fact, the world got bigger, more opportunities. Suddenly, you're discovering things you love again. You're reclaiming your time, your laughter, your mind, your energy. You start setting boundaries, saying no without guilt. And the best part, you don't need anyone's permission to be happy anymore. Number 4, the lesson. See, here's the truth they don't tell you about relationships. They either break you completely or teach you everything you needed to know. You learn how to read people better. You recognize manipulation when you see it. You recognize when you're being lazy, when you're not giving enough. You stop making excuses for people or yourself, especially those who treat you like an option. And most importantly, you realize that love is not supposed to be a battlefield of pain. It's supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be kind. It's supposed to make you better. The right person won't require you to suffer first. And number 5, the rebirth. One day, you look back at the past version of yourself, the one who begged to be loved, the one who tolerated less than they deserved, the one who thought they'd never get over it or over them. And you smile because that person, they made it. Maybe you don't have all the answers now. Maybe love still feels complicated. Maybe the scars still ache from time to time. You see it in your kids. Matter of fact, you see them in your kids. Maybe you survived and now you're not just moving on. You are moving forward. That is certainly some power. Anyhow, people, don't give up, you know? I know that a lot of times, relationships don't work out for us. Sometimes we feel like everybody's going to treat us the same way. Just be smart. Don't look in the same places. Don't act the same way. Give people a chance. Be patient. Anyhow, that's about it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out. You can drop a line at yprpodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment wherever you're listening. Thanks for hanging out again, and I will see you next time. This is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Take care of yourself, okay? Bye. Oh yeah, before I go, remember, if you have any questions you want to ask, or maybe have a topic that you want me to talk about, you can email me at yprpodcast@gmail.com. Take care. Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, well, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully, the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.